views expressed on this program are those of the hosts, guests, and callers, and are not necessarily those of this station, its management, or other advertisers. You're listening to Transformation Talk Radio.
This show's audio was via a Skype call.
Are you ready to stop stress, anxiety, and low self-esteem from running your life? Join award-winning author Dr. Friedemann Schaub from Empowerment Radio as he addresses some of the most prevailing challenges in our day-to-day lives. Find out how you can use the power of your mind to overcome self-sabotaging patterns and build a solid foundation of confidence and self-respect. Learn cutting-edge tools and approach every day with great ease, joy, and purpose. This is the time to empower yourself. Now, here's your host, Dr. Friedemann Schaub.
Welcome to Empowerment Radio. I'm your host, Dr. Friedemann. And, before we actually start with the topic of today's program, I want to give you 3 shout-outs. So please bear with me. The first one is I am very excited, really excited, which surprises me a lot. But it turns out it's actually something fun. I am now on Instagram, and you can find me on Instagram under The Empowerment Solution. The Empowerment Solution. Now, I am not necessarily the biggest fan of social media, and usually I'm bitching about the negative effects of it. But as a client of me pointed out, she said, I'm so happy that you are on Instagram or on Facebook, because when I'm down, I can just look at your messages and I feel better. This is just something that uplifts me. And so I am so happy to see it now this way. So if you want your daily dose of empowerment and reminders and tips on how to navigate through life easier and with greater joy, just go to The Empowerment Solution. Also, one of the things I love to talk about on today's show is no different. It is empowerment, and it also is about uncovering those little, let's say, weaknesses we all have. And weaknesses are not just, something that we just have to live with and flaws that we have to somehow accept. No, weaknesses are usually just like a muscle that we haven't practiced or trained or stretched. Just something that is maybe not necessarily the most natural aspect of ourselves to express and share with the world. And for me, it is asking for something. I don't really like asking for something. And there are many reasons, and we could have 5 shows on that. But so I'm going to ask for something just to empower myself as well, which is something that was nicely nudged by my team and my publisher. Ultimately, it's about my book, The Fear and Anxiety Solution. And what I was asked to ask you, if you have read the book and if you enjoyed the book, if you would like to write a little review on Amazon.com or Barnes & Nobles or anything like that about your experiences. And the reason for that is just that your words mean a lot. I know that when I'm looking for something, I always look for other people's experiences. We can tell a lot from how people were, just enjoying or what they found that product, that book was giving them. And I had a lot of people tell me afterwards when they read the reviews that is exactly what they were experiencing as well. So you can, in your words, inspire others who are looking for ways to empower themselves to overcome fear and anxiety. Your words may inspire them to also take the book and start working on themselves. Now, the third plugin is for my lovely wife, Danielle Rama-Hoffman, who has an amazing event actually right now going on. It started on Sunday, so it's not too late to jump in because everything is recorded. but it's for those of you that are interested in channeled information. Danielle channels. Channels ascended masters, channels Thoth and the Council of Light. And what she got at some point was, how would it be to have a conversation with ascended master, light beings, archangels, spirit guides? How would that be just to have some channels come together in a round table format or in a one-on-one conversation to speak from that channel place with each other? So you can imagine Mother Mary speaking with Thoth, or some Octurian speaking with some other guide. And what happened, and Danielle has done some of those conversations already, is really that there is such interesting information on love, unity consciousness, and also very down-to-earth topics on how to live with greater ease and grace, and how to find more your purpose and the journey of life, what it's all about. All of those things are discussed in those conversations, and I'm just really excited to share this with you. So if you want to hop on, it's a free event. Simply go to divine2divine.com. So that's divine, DIVINE, number 2, DIVINE.com, divine2divine.com. Well, if you are listening to channel information or think this is completely crazy, it doesn't matter, because chances are that we all at times feel exactly like that. What this topic today is all about, which is powerlessness. Now, isn't it kind of an alarming trend in our time that more and more people feel powerless? Why? I think there are different reasons. I mean, there are the global reasons. This can be the growing injustice in the distribution of wealth. This can be the disturbing and chaotic political climate. Can be the dangers for our environment, or the increase in gun violence. Sometimes the world really appears like a train wreck waiting to happen, and all we seem to be able to do is just watch it. But you don't even have to watch the news in order to feel powerless. You can actually just look at your day-to-day life and get a sense of powerlessness by sitting in traffic, stuck with thousands of other commuters, and going at snail pace to work, feeling that once again you're going to be late. You can feel powerless when you are facing a demanding boss who doesn't seem to have any regard for what you're doing, and maybe also no boundaries in regards to how much this person is loading onto you. Maybe the mounting debt you're dealing with, or again, here, social media. Some social media is driving us into the fear of missing out. And so a lot of people are just in general feeling powerless because these demands and these challenges of our day-to-day lives feel just overwhelming. And I believe that's one of the major reasons why so many, and the numbers are just staggering, are looking for some kind of relief with drugs, alcohol, medication. Now, this is the Empowerment Radio Show, so it is about how we can overcome this feeling of powerlessness. Now, the problem with feeling powerless is not that it feels just really bad, but it also smothers and blocks our innate desires and capabilities to really change and improve ourselves in the situations we're in. But the biggest problem with powerlessness, I find, and don't take it the wrong way, but the biggest problem with powerlessness is that often it is an illusion. Now, I have deepest compassion for anybody who feels like a victim of his or her circumstances. Anyone who got abused, taken advantage of, or mistreated in any form, of course, deserves kindness and support. But as one of my clients said, who was raped and molested as a child, We cannot control everything that happens to us, but this is only the beginning. What we do from that point out is ultimately our responsibility. I love that. I really love what she said because it was such a turning of the tables. She could have ended up just as the victim of her childhood and never really seen anything beyond that, looking in the mirror and seeing still what was done to her. But she chose to look at life and herself differently, not only as a survivor, but as someone who actually takes ownership over her life and says, whatever was done to me doesn't define me. I choose to define myself. And that is an ultimate way to become empowered, that form of responsibility. Now, it's good to know that taking responsibility is the way to go, but the next question many of you may have is, what and how can we go from feeling paralyzed and feeling powerless to actually feeling more courage, more optimism, and more confidence? How can we feel more empowered? So today, I want to share with you 5 ways to feel more powerful. They don't really require any special skills. And in fact, they are not even that complicated. The only thing is that they have one price tag on it, which is to pay attention. To pay attention and to be willing to also to learn as you go along. Because feeling powerless is something that I do believe has a lot to do also with the idea that we don't have power, that we are simply not born with power, or we are born in circumstances that don't allow us to follow our dreams or go beyond that, what we really have experienced so far. And finding that power, understanding what that power actually means, is the first step to feeling more powerful. And that is what we're going to talk about after the break. What is actually your personal power? So stay tuned. We will be right back after these messages.
Choose the new earth on the Cornelia Stephanie Show. Tune in each week on Transformation Talk Radio as Cornelia takes listeners on an odyssey of higher consciousness to inspire, educate, and empower. Cornelia guides people on the path of self-healing, peace, and liberation. The Cornelia Stephanie Show is your catalyst for anchoring heaven on earth on a global scale. For more information, go to corneliastephanie.com.
Wow. Hey, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to the Dr. Pat Show. This is Talk Radio to Thrive By. I'm telling you, I got to pinch myself some days, because when each of us gets called to do something that we so not thought was in our wheelhouse to do for a purpose that's so much greater than us, we get to show up and shine.
If you would like to show up and shine on the Dr. Pat Show as a co-host or sponsor, send us an email to inspire@thedrpatshow.com.
Calling all moms, it's time to awaken your vibrant, intuitive, loving self in every area of your life. Join host Debbie Pokornik as she shares thoughts, stories, and tools to help you stand in your power. Listen to Vibrant, Powerful Moms helping everyday women create extraordinary lives. Mondays at 2:30 Pacific, 5:30 Eastern. For more information about Debbie, visit empoweringenergy.com. That's empowering with letters NRG.com.
Be you plus live your purpose equals joy. That's the motto of Unstuck Joy with Vicki Todd. Vicki believes you were born with gifts that are meant to make the world brighter. Each show will feature an art visioning journal prompt to help you create your way to soul clarity. If you're ready to get unstuck and create more joy, this show is for you.
Tune in the first and third Tuesday at 3 p.m. Pacific on Transformation Talk Radio. For more information, visit VickiWorldArt.com.
In this day and age, if you don't reinvent yourself, you may never find balance, peace, and the sustainable life that is your birthright. Angela Watson-Robertson, known as the Reinvention Warrior and the host of breakthrough radio show Masters of Reinvention, is here to help you reinvent every area of your life. Tune in and hear from the best in the personal transformation business and discover tips and tools for positive change. Live every month on Transformation Talk Radio.
Tune in to Mainstream Metaphysics Radio to harness your connection with the universe to effect change for optimal success and happiness. Named one of the country's top psychics, Eve now brings her insights and gifts to this weekly hit call-in show, joined by visionaries, leaders, and gifted others, but mostly you. Jot it down, Thursdays, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern on TransformationTalkRadio.com.
Welcome back to Empowerment Radio. We are talking about ways to feel less powerless and more powerful. Now, if you do have any questions about this topic, if you are struggling with finding your power or you're feeling drained of it, well, call in 888-418-6890. That's 888-418-6890, or go to transformationtalkradio.com. Go to the Listen Live button, and there is then a chat box that you can also ask your questions in, and I'm happy to answer them. Now, the first way of those 5 ways to feel more powerful is to understand your power. What does it mean, personal power? Now, power has a kind of a bad association these days, and it feels like there is more talk about the abuse of it than actually the use of it. But when it comes to personal power, it has really nothing to do with controlling other people, influencing them around us, or making them do whatever we want them to do. And personal power doesn't also really have to do so much with controlling our lives in all of its details, being always at the helm of the ship and being always clear, this is where I want to go and this is where I'm going to end up being, because we cannot really always control our circumstances. We cannot certainly control the people around us. So personal power is much more something internal. It goes right to the core and is really based on the ability to have an alignment of mind, body, and spirit. And it leads then to that really sound mixture of confidence, that sense of competency, but also compassion, a caring compassion for others and oneself. And you know that you're in touch with your personal power when you feel generally safe and secure within yourself, and when you feel like, yes, I can take ownership of my experience of life. When you trust that you have the wisdom and the capabilities to learn and grow from anything life brings you, even if the S hits the fan, even if stuff is falling apart all around you, you still know, I know that I'm going to find a way to grow from this. This is just the fertilizer for me to further evolve. And personal power also means that there is a deep desire to discover and express more of your true, authentic self. And just know that you are, just by being you, here to make a difference. Making a difference not by doing necessarily something outstanding, but just by being that outstanding human being that you are here to be. Now, just understanding this is personal power makes you look inside. And it really doesn't make you focus so much on what you used to define yourself with, which may have been more, how far you got in your career, how big your bank accounts are, how your relationships are going. All of those things are, maybe expressions or sideshows. But what real personal power is really ultimately that relationship with yourself. That's where it all starts. Now, the second step to feel less powerless is to notice how you give your power away. Yes, give your power away. It's not taken from you. It's not stolen from you. Ultimately, we give it away. If you feel, let's say, chronically exhausted or you're always broke, you probably would wonder, where does my energy go? Or where does the money go? Where do I spend it? Well, that's exactly the same thing that you want to do with your personal power. You want to find out what actually is that, where does this personal power go, and what is actually is what I'm doing, that I'm wasting it, that I'm giving it away. Now, here are some of those signs that you can use and you may identify yourself with that tell you that you are somehow giving your power away. Unconsciously, I'm not saying that we are choosing this, but somehow we are doing this on a subconscious level. So if you let others make decisions simply because you don't trust yourself, that's a way of giving your power away. If you feel that you're not speaking up, you actually don't want to be seen because you don't want to be judged. If you try to fit in and give others what they want from you because you don't like conflict. If you tell yourself that you just have to hold on to a job that you deep inside hate, or a relationship that's completely dysfunctional because you don't believe that you can have anything better. If you deal with disappointments by putting yourself down and questioning your own worthiness, if you focus more on what's not working in your life and on the what ifs of the future than spending time to appreciate and embrace all your blessings, if you feel disgusted and discouraged by, let's say, politicians, but choose to no longer care or even vote, if you make excuses for those who put you down or treat you as if you are their punching ball and never really create a boundary, if you complain about your challenges but tell yourself there's nothing you can do to change them, or if you get angry and resentful when things are not going your way and blaming everybody else, but not really seeing that you have a part in it, all of those things are telling you that you are somehow giving your power away. And I think this list can, of course, be miles long. It can go on. But in general, you could say, I'm giving my power away when somehow my reaction to people or circumstances consume my thoughts, my emotions, drain my energy, and somehow I feel afterwards trapped and out of my center. I did this very nicely with our neighbor who I asked several times to help, and every time it's at least 4 weeks until you get a response. And at some point you just feel like, well, why do we get ignored? What's going on? And that's exactly the moment when the power is slipping through your fingers because you are thinking more about their motivation, what's going on in their heads, what does it say about me, what does it say about our relationship, rather than saying, okay, what's the solution? And the solution would be just ask someone else or do it yourself. And that's exactly what I did. So this is something for all of us, just to notice that this powerlessness is something that often we are creating through old beliefs, creating through old patterns, but also creating maybe through that familiarity of just going more into wondering and maybe judging others. And as I said before, blaming them for how they make us feel, then just turning the tables around. Now, that's the second step. Just notice what you do. And of course, ideally, you change it. Ideally, you turn this around. And one way to turn it around is also something that I feel is often really, really hard. And it's hard because we don't notice it. We don't notice how that is a form of disempowerment and how we could change this to become more empowered, which is basically when we are dishonest and distruthful, especially to ourselves. One of the biggest power drains is lying. Lying to keep the peace, lying to keep face, lying to make yourself look better. A client of mine told me once that she feels so exhausted because she cannot sleep anymore, because she has to continuously lie to her aging mother about her marriage, pretending everything is fine when in fact everything is going into shambles. And you may notice this also, that you do lie at times, and every time you lie, you're telling yourself, well, my truth is not really good enough, or my truth doesn't even matter. That's a form of losing your power. So speaking your truth, being honest to yourself and to others, that is definitely a form to, or a way to get your power back. See, when you're lying to yourself, so let's say, for example, you're telling yourself, oh, I'm going to go to the gym, or yeah, I'm going to clean up the garage, and tomorrow I'm going to call my sister, and then I stop eating junk food. And nothing of this really happens. Well, a part of your mind looks at you and says, well, this person is not reliable, and that's not a trustworthy person. And automatically, your mind, especially your inner protective subconscious, will say, well, I need just to somehow make sure that we are safe because that person is not in charge. So if you're turning it around and you're saying, well, I'm stopping lying to myself, I'm going to tell myself only the things that I know I can follow through with, and only the things I know I can make truly happen, you will see how much quicker you feel empowered and you can trust yourself. But it's also a lying when you put yourself down. You look in the mirror and you call yourself fat, old, ugly. You look at your life and you say, I never really amounted to anything. I'm always a loser. I'm always a failure. Nobody loves me. Nobody cares about me. All of those kinds of things are lies because they are generalizations and distortions on the perspective of your life. And it's not the truth. So really going into a much more, let's say, appreciative and also more objective way of looking at yourself and being truthful that I don't want to put myself down. I don't want to treat myself like I don't want to be treated by others with insults and judgment and criticism. That also is a form of empowerment because you stop lying to yourself. Because everything that you tell yourself in those negative ways is ultimately a lie. Even if you would objectively say, yeah, I am fat. But it's still a lie because you're much more than that. You are not defined by your weight. And if you are calling yourself whatever you do, you are ultimately minimizing yourself to that judgment. And the last lie that you want to avoid and change into truthfulness is that lie of not really admitting to yourself and not really acknowledging that you have feelings about something, that you're pretending even to yourself that, oh, I'm going to be fine. Let's say, again, you hate your job, but you hang into it because you tell yourself that you really cannot quit as long as the kids are in school, or you cannot quit because of the benefits, or whatever those things are. This is what you're supposed to do. So you're lying to yourself because you're not acknowledging that deep down inside there is something else, something that is really looking for more joy, more purpose, even if it would mean less salary. Or maybe you feel like your husband wants you always to do something and you just tag along, you just say, oh yes, we'll do that. But deep inside you feel like, I just want a little peace and quiet. But you're never expressing it. And you're never even acknowledging it to yourself. All of those things are being untruthful to yourself. And if you're acknowledging and becoming aware of that truth within, you don't even have to express it yet, just to be able to express it to yourself. That can make a huge difference in the way you feel about yourself and in the way you can access your inner power. We will talk more about those things and also 3 more ways on how to be more empowered when we come back.
Are you looking for the perfect setting for your next workshop or retreat? At Spiritfire Meditative Retreat Center, cultivating consciousness is what we do best. Our guests count on us to create an atmosphere that supports serenity and well-being. We lead from the heart and create space for the mind. Freshly prepared meals designed with local and organic ingredients, 95 acres of beautiful woods and pastures, and a facility built with green in mind. This is what you'll find at Spiritfire. For more information, visit spiritfireretreatcenter.com.
On the cutting edge of the new mainstream, Christine Upchurch is passionate about bringing together science, psychology, and spirituality in a way that can be applied to our everyday lives for true transformation. The Christine Upchurch Show, stellar conversations to illuminate your journey, engages some of the most outstanding visionaries on the planet in lively dialogue to inspire you to become that bright light you're meant to be. Join Christine every Friday at 11 a.m. Pacific Time on KKNW, AM 1150, and Transformation Talk Radio.
Tune in to Lucid Planet Radio with Dr. Kelly Neff. This hit show will illuminate your senses and empower you beyond your daily stressors and hardships. Renowned psychologist and author Dr. Kelly will captivate you with far-reaching topics and amazing guests as you wake to the greatest version of yourself. Learn to tap into your intuitions, think critically about our world, heal emotional and psychological wounds, and follow your passions to live your dreams. The Lucid Planet. Welcome home. Visit lucidplanetradio.com for more information.
Tune in to The Jen Royster Show, intuitive guidance to inspire your life, each Thursday at 8 a.m. Pacific and 11 a.m. Eastern on TransformationTalkRadio.com. This amazing show is an inspirational hour that will take you on an epic metaphysical journey to discover the spiritual approach to life's greatest challenges. Dr. Jen is an internationally known intuitive counselor, spiritual teacher, and energy healer. Call in for intuitive readings and visit JenRoyster.com for more information.
Interested in deepening your spiritual practice? The School for Esoteric Studies offers online training to spiritual seekers from all paths of life and individual coaching. Our courses synthesize Eastern and Western spiritual traditions based on meditation, study, and service applied to everyday life. To learn more about our courses and services, please visit www.esotericstudies.net.
Winning at the game of money. Lynn Brown is now offering Full Spectrum Finance, a progressive 12-month program that will help you to navigate through the mechanics of financial expansion. Finally, a financial planner who looks at the full spectrum of money and abundance. Engage you in the mental, physical, and energetic aspects of finance. This is Full Spectrum Finance. Are you ready to get into it? For more information, go to fullspectrumfinance.com.
All right, welcome back. How can we feel more powerful and less powerless? That's a big question. We just talked about the being truthful and honest to yourself, and it reminded me of a client of mine who is teaching workshops on writing your story. And it's really a wonderful gift that she has to help people to simply write whatever they have been not honest about out as almost like a fictional novel. But by writing about their story without any judgment in a safe space, there is a lot of healing happening. And she told me about someone who basically has been living in a lie in her marriage for 5 years. And it really ate her up, and it made her completely trapped, made her feel powerless. And just by writing the truth and writing what was really going on in her life and what was going on in her heart, she said that she could see that woman change in front of her eyes. She could see how there was a relief, a sense of peace, a sense of wholeness happening because she was claiming her truth, even though it wasn't the prettiest one, even though, sure, people would judge her for it if they would know. But because she spoke it, she wrote it, she accepted it, she was at peace with it. And that was incredibly empowering for her. Now, another very empowering step is to let go, learning to let go. We are so trained and programmed to hold on and ideally to get more. But letting go, that's not necessarily a skill that we are taught, not by our parents, not in school. And so it's something we really need to somehow remember how to do. Let's say you didn't get that promotion at work that you hoped for, or your date didn't call you to meet up again. So, of course, you could say, well, once again, I'm the victim of my circumstances, powerless here, nothing goes my way. And afterwards, you're just going into that thinking, that latching on to those people and situations and ask yourself, why? And what did I do wrong? And what if this never will go well? And what if I never get a chance? And so basically your whole life is spinning, internally at least, around those things that didn't go well, that didn't go the way you want them to go. And you're not letting go because you feel like letting go could mean, well, I'm rolling over and giving up. As long as I think about it, maybe it's going to change. Maybe there's something that I can come up with that makes that situation better, but it consumes you. It really drains your energy and your power. So letting go, especially when you really realize that this is not going to happen. This is not my fault. This is not my choice, but it's not going to happen. So I need to let go because I start to identify myself too much with the injustice or with the unfortunate events that I just have lived through. Same thing with letting go of expectations. Letting go of expectations on yourself, where you think you have to be a goal-getter, or you think you should get married by 35 and have 2 kids by 39, and all of those things don't seem to happen, and it makes you completely miserable. It makes you feel your life is just wasting away. It makes you feel worthless because you, again, identify yourself with those things that you have expected on yourself, that maybe society has put into your mind. Letting go of assumptions about what will happen in the future, or assumptions about what other people may be thinking about you. There is a lot we can let go of. And if you notice there is something, especially right now, pulling you literally out of your center, pulling your mind literally out of the present moment, it's time to let go. And one really effective way of letting go is simply to turn your focus inwards, to close your eyes, and simply start a few minutes of breathing, imagining that when you exhale, you already let go of thoughts, emotions, energies that were clinging on to that what made you feel powerless. And when you inhale, you are rejuvenating yourself. You're filling yourself with fresh energy. You're filling yourself with whatever you want right now, which may be a peace of mind, which may be clarity, which may be just a sense of being okay, no matter what those circumstances are. Do this for a few minutes, just to really use the breath to remind you, just like the ocean, it's a constant coming in and rolling back out, receiving and letting go. That's what life is about. That's why we are born and that's why we die. It's just that waveform. And if we're letting go of holding on to whatever we think we should have, then we are actually opening up to something different and most likely better to come our way. And once you have done this letting go breathing, then you can remind yourself of some simple truth that is always worth getting back to. That whatever happens doesn't say anything, or whatever happened doesn't say anything about your intrinsic worthiness. You are not defined by it. that you have the innate potential to learn and grow from anything, from any situation. In fact, that is what life is all about, learning and growing. And that you are grateful for that situation because it allows you to learn to love and accept yourself more unconditionally, more just for what is and for who you are. These simple truths and that breathing, you practice that, you're going to be a master of letting go. You're going to be a master of shedding away all of that, what in the past may have occupied your mind and distracted you. Now, I think the letting go part is also a sign of courage. Now, our producer, Justin, who has been just a wonderful guide through all of these empowerment radio shows, is letting go. He is actually leaving the station and leaving Empowerment Radio. And I want to just thank him from all of us for this great work he has been doing. And Justin, you are actually going off following your passion, following your purpose. And I think that's such a wonderful, empowering way of showing up in life, letting go of that what feels safe to going for that what feels right. Now, speaking of Justin, thank you, Justin, for everything. We skipped the break, so just to have enough time. Another way of becoming more empowered, actually two ways, is to discover and remember who you really are. Now, that may sound like a longer process, but it's not necessarily. It's actually something that could be just a daily process, something that we can, on a daily basis, spend a little bit of time and focus on. What do I mean with that? Now, the discovering of who you are is often made more difficult by old stories, beliefs, patterns that we just somehow got familiar with. And so letting go of those, learning to let go of whatever you told yourself that is who you are, or if ever what you told yourself in regards to what the world is. It's a bad place, it's an unfriendly place, people cannot be trusted, all of those old beliefs and patterns. Just letting them go doesn't mean that afterwards you're going to be empty and naked. It just means that you discover more what's really underneath those things, because everything that made you in the past feel more defensive and with that also often more powerless is usually just a shield. It's just some kind of a wall that you have placed around yourself to somehow feel safer in the world, but not necessarily all of us. In fact, no one can really look through the wall and discover who you really are. So you have to dismantle this wall in order to notice, well, who am I when I don't have this wall of defensiveness, when I don't have these old patterns and beliefs, and when I'm more able to maybe be myself and discover more what that means. That can also feel, when you're discovering more what that means, that you grow up and you outgrow old childhood patterns. Because when we feel powerless, how many of you feel like a child? You feel overwhelmed, you feel little, you feel that you're confused because you cannot really find answers to those questions of life, and you return to those old defense mechanisms that used to serve you, sometimes hiding underneath the blanket, sometimes just trying to please those that seem to be in power, sometimes just to get a temper tantrum, whatever it is. These are usually very old patterns that served us well when we were, a foot tall, but they are not necessarily serving us any longer. And so it's important just to see, let's peel it away and discover what else is there. And what else is there for me to share with the world as my more adult and mature and calm and competent self. We also have to go backwards at the same time. Many people find their real power not but just by looking for what else is possible for them, but also by going backwards and remembering, who was I? Who was I before I became that self-protective person who lived somehow in that survival mode, and by doing so, feeling less and less in charge of his life? Who was I when I still was more true to myself, when I didn't feel the need to hide or the need to protect? And so going back can really be an interesting journey, because it makes you feel that you discover more about, let's say, who you were meant to be in this world. What do I mean with that? I talked to a client that shared with me that she grew up with her grandmother, and that those first 5 years of her life were the happiest years she ever had. She is in her 40s. And what happened after those 5 years is that her parents took her, because the parents had now money to take care of her. But the life with her parents was completely different than life with her grandmother. The parents were rather strict, demanding, and not very warm. But unfortunately, the grandmother lived so far away, and she also didn't want to interfere with the parents' raising of the child, that she stepped away. And for this client, it felt like an abandonment. And since ever then, she just closed down. She didn't want to ask for anything from anyone. She didn't expect anyone to give her love or kindness, especially because her father was always telling her no. No matter what she wanted, it was a no. So she gave up. There was a sense of simply resigning to the fact that she cannot have what she wants. But she lives with a wonderful husband, has a wonderful daughter, a beautiful community, but still has been hiding herself in that more self-defense mode. So when we went back and remembered who she was with her grandmother, where life seemed safe and giving and she could just be herself, she realized that she really is a person who loves connection, a person who loves to be held, a person who loves to be taken care of, a person who loves to play and have fun. Everything that she somehow had forgotten, she remembered, well, this is who I really am. And from that point on, she really was able to see that, well, I need to be more open to have this in my life because it's available to me. I don't have to anymore disconnect and hide out or pretend that I don't care. I can actually be more myself. And then you can imagine how these relationships will also change as she shows up as her more real self. For me personally, I was, and I said this before, a child that really was in a world of wonderment and awe, and I loved just to wake up every morning with a smile on my face, happy-go-lucky, just chasing the sunshines. And then I got scared. Literally, I got made scared of the world, and I felt there was a more conditional way of being accepted and loved, and that condition was to be perfect and to be an achiever and to have good grades, and there was a dark cloud since ever then that was simply hanging over me, that didn't allow me to see the light, that didn't allow me to have fun, that didn't allow me to trust. It was more a drive inside of me to keep on going. So that wasn't really who I am, that person who was a goal-getter and overachiever. That was something I somehow decided I had to be. So when I went back and remembered that little Friedemann, that's how I called myself, because I couldn't say Friedemann myself, so it was hard to say that name, maybe because I had a little lisp and a little speech impediment. But so Friedemann, when I remembered who he was, when I remembered how he felt, how he was joyful, and how he just loved to watch animals, and how he loved just laying in the sun and breathing in the light, something shifted. Something reminded me that I don't have to be so serious. I don't have to be such a perfectionist. I don't have to always go for that next goal. I can actually really smell the roses and embrace and inhale the joys in life. And it made a big difference. I found a lot about myself by going back and remembering what I had forgotten. That true power may have been available to you when you were just 5 years old. Just like the person that has been really driven by maybe academics or business, and then finding out that what she really wanted was to do art, drawing, because that's how she always felt the most happy and connected when she was a child. And just allowing herself to do this more gave her also then a wonderful relief from stress, but also a greater sense of wholeness and empowerment, because she remembered, this is really what makes me happy, and this is what I'm good at, and that is my talent and my gift that I want to experience and also share with the world. So what is there inside of you that you may feel has been hidden? What is it inside of you? What power do you have that somehow you have not tapped into because maybe it wasn't accepted? Maybe you felt it's so precious and want to hide it from any criticism, and now you have to dig in to find it. Try to every day spend a little time to notice those things that feel easy and natural to you. Try every day to go for at least one thing that you feel like that makes me happy. Not happy in regards to, oh, I can veg out and forget about the world because it's so stressful, but happy more from a place of your core, happy from a place where you feel like, yeah, that resonates deep inside. It may be something maybe like cooking. It may be just like being open and chatting with a friend. It may actually also be being of service. Being of service as simple as helping someone across the street or letting someone in the checkout line go first. If that really resonates with you, maybe this is a power that you have forgotten is yours and that you want to foster more. So in order to be more powerful and less powerless, we also have to be curious about who we really are. And that is ultimately the gift of this journey. And there are many ways that are leading to Rome. But I can tell you one of the fastest one is through the subconscious mind. And that's exactly what I'm working with, helping people to find their power, the potential inside, who they really are through the subconscious mind. Because the subconscious mind has that knowledge. And the subconscious mind is also that part of our mind that created all those patterns and held on to all those beliefs for the sake of keeping us safe. So if we want to find out who we really are, we need to work with the subconscious mind to dismantle those patterns and beliefs and anything that in the past was just making us feel more safe and protected, getting out of the survival mode, and then being able to discover more what else is there about ourselves that either needs to be just honed and expressed or needs to be remembered and cherished. If you want to find out more about this work, you can just go to thefearandanxietysolution.com. And if you want to talk with me about this work, you can set up a free Skype or phone consultation and we can chat on what is possible for you. Overall, I don't believe that this is a time for any of us to hide behind powerlessness. I know there are forces in our world that are trying hard to make us believe that we have no power, that make us believe that we have no choice, that we are trapped. And ultimately, that's a form of control that's as old probably as human mankind. But right now, at this time in our world, we do have all a real responsibility and obligation to be empowered and help each other to make this planet a sustainable and livable place to exist. And I think more than ever, we can no longer pretend that we have no power, that we have no voice, that we cannot make a difference. More than ever, now it's time to find your power and make your contribution and think about not only yourself, but all the generations after ourselves. So with that, search for your power, embrace it, and share it, and really notice that this is the most fulfilling way to be alive. Until next time, I am your host, Dr. Friedemann Schaub. Be well. Take good care of yourself. Goodbye.
You've been listening to Empowerment Radio with Dr. Friedemann Schaub. Join Dr. Friedemann the first and third Wednesday each month at 11 a.m. Pacific as he addresses some of the most prevailing challenges of our daily lives. Discover how you can use the power of your mind to overcome stress, anxiety, and overwhelm and create a solid foundation of confidence and self-esteem. Learn cutting-edge tools so that you can approach every day with great ease, joy, and purpose. To learn more about what Dr. Schaub can do for you, visit thefearandanxietysolution.com.